Hey everyone, one that one's on, but here we go. Hey, so let's invite live. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the sun a little bit. We'll let everyone come on. Um, Here we go. Hey Adam,
Hey mate,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I like your shirt.
And I'm going with yeah.
But no, I haven't whipped out the shirt yet. Not yet. But one day I will. I do own a shirt. I wear it on for special occasions. How are you, man?
Uh, I'm good. It's been a challenging transition. So
Yeah.
we've gone from two projects finishing to two projects starting. So yeah, and what's been great for me is that this sort of platform, being part of Barley, being part of APL, is that we all go through the ups and downs of running a business.
Yeah.
With having the open communication, the conversations with people.
Yeah.
And yeah, we all go through this sort of stuff, and yeah, we're off the back of two really good projects, and then starting two new ones. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of stress, but what's nice is that we've got this platform to kind of help each other and share the pressures, share the stress, and share
Yeah.
the experiences. And yeah,
No, it's true. It's true. You know who I called today? I called George from Matipo. I called him and I was like, I just wanted to know how he was doing, because obviously he was one of our first guests on our podcast, and I said like we'll have to book him in as well because it'd be good to kind of like go through his progress and stuff like that. And he seems to be doing really well. So yeah, like you're saying, we'll all go through the thick and thin of it. And it's nice to have this platform for people to share their struggles and share what helped them through those struggles as well. So no, like loving the
yeah, I think that's the key thing is that the trials and tribulations, that it's not always rosy.
yeah.
And what's key is in order for us and this platform is to help people, is to showcase the problems, the issues we occur, how
Yeah.
we've dealt with them, and also how other people can help us learn from our mistakes, how we can help others learn from our mistakes,
Yeah.
and sort of share. And yeah, it's been nice.
No, it's cool. So I guess it's John
Yeah,
from Outdoor Living. We both met him at the ProLandscaper Award. Well, it was really nice to meet him. Obviously, followed him a little bit on Instagram and stuff like that. And he's a young business owner. I think his business is like 6 months old. So really young and ambitious guy, talented guy. So really looking forward to having him, on with you, Adam, tonight. So I can't wait. I'm going to try to invite him now. Here he is, and hopefully it'll work smoothly. I say make sure your Instagram's updated like that. We don't have any problems with him joining the live. But yeah, really looking forward to it tonight. And it'd be interesting to ask him what's coming with his company and how he's going to push and all that stuff.
yeah. What's nice is that he's very new to business, so I didn't realise he's only 6 months in,
Yeah,
and he's someone that's giving a lot to the community.
yeah,
So he's helping Perennial. He's building the show gardens.
yeah,
It's something that's not been on my radar.
yeah.
He's someone, I guess, much like us, that's giving to the community. So it'd be lovely to.
Oh man, unable to join. Join. Aha! Here
Hello.
he is.
Hello.
How are
How's
you,
it going?
John?
It might be a bit dark here, but yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, good man. Good. How was your day?
Yeah, not too bad. I sort of came back from Italy yesterday, which were a bit of a, once you go away, it's quite hard to switch off. So I was doing my best to, and then it's just been a bit full on, making sure I'm going to site, got materials getting ordered. I found out on one of the jobs that the road is now all being tarmacked in front of the house on the new estate next week, which I didn't know about. So try to rush around and get materials suddenly delivered on site, so we're not having to go 20 miles round back garden.
Isn't it funny as a business owner, if you have the luxury of having a week off, you get to like 6 days of your holiday and you're focusing on work. The last day you switch off.
Yeah.
You have 6 days on holiday where you're thinking about work. The last day, like, I'll switch off, and then I've got to get a flight back.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I'm actually quite good at switching off. You know what? If the business burns, I'm going to work. I can't do fuck all about it. So, let it burn. No, not in that way. But Jess does all the planning and stuff like that with the customers anyway, on the maintenance side, and the landscaping. It just make sure they've got plenty to do on that week when you're away. But it is tricky as a business owner to kind of learn to switch off. But in some ways, it's really important, because I don't know about you guys, but when I go on holiday, I come back to work and I feel like a new guy. I'm like so ready to take on the world again. And it is important to have that time off. How was it in Italy anyway? Was it good?
Yeah, really good. Went to, I've already forgotten the name. We went to Pompeii.
Yeah.
Which were really good.
Yeah.
Sort of Naples way. I'll tell you what, one thing about the Italians, the drivers are shocking. No offense to any Italians watching this, but we couldn't, it took us till the last day to work out what they actually used the horn for. It was
to go forward.
Oh, it was crazy. People were horning to thank you, they were horning to tell you off, they were horning to let you cross. You just didn't know what was going on. But no, it was absolutely beautiful. Sort of pretended I was middle class for a few days and ate cheese and meat and drunk red wine and.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no.
So,
really
John, tell us a bit about you and your business.
Yep.
Because I quite like the story that you told me when we met at the ProLandscape. You obviously travelled as well.
Yep.
And you studied design.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll let you go through those stages of your life.
Yeah. So I started when I was about 16. I got into 15, 16 when I got into landscaping. My granddad's best friend, he was a landscaper. He owned his own company.
Yeah.
It was a minute walk from my house. So I got a bit of summer work doing that, and on sort of holidays and whatnot. Really enjoyed it. And then I was doing my A-levels, and I just didn't like it. I struggle with paperwork, dyslexic, so really struggle taking stuff in, writing down and whatnot. And then after I finished my A-levels, I just decided that that's not for me, and decided to go back into education again and go do horticulture at college. So for where I lived, and we were talking about this in the YPHA and whatnot, but where I lived, there wasn't many horticultural-based courses, and the best one for me was like a two-hour travel away drive. So, and I was doing 3 days at college, 2 days working.
Yeah.
So for the first year, I had to go back and forth on the bus. Had a bike. I was getting the train at 6 o'clock at night, not getting in till 10, and then having to cycle to get home. And anyhow, so I did that. Really enjoyed it. But during the time I was working, I knew that landscaping is a difficult job. Really takes a toll on your body. I mean, I used to play rugby. Well, I still play rugby, but I used to get called glass back as a kid because my back used to go all the time. So I just thought, with the combination of landscaping and my back, I need another option other than just being on the tools until I drop dead. And so I decided to go then study landscape architecture, which I was hoping to do garden design, but they were no longer running that course at the college because just couldn't get enough numbers. So then I decided to go do landscape architecture back where I lived. So I was doing that for 3 years at Leeds Beckett University. Landscaped for myself on the side, had a few other jobs, you know, doing landscaping as well as a Domino's delivery driver on the night. So I put on about 4 stone, getting free pizza every night.
Exactly.
So yeah, did that, and then whilst I was at uni, actually, I went on my last year, it was called a European Escapade, and it was a trip around Europe. And I booked it, and I didn't realise it was like an Australian company. So there was me, 2 other English people, and then like 51 Australians. And I was with them for about 5-6 weeks, went all the way around Europe and just had the best time and just became really good friends with these people. So when I finished uni, I was a bit unsure of what to do, and they just said, why don't you come and surf it out over in Australia? So that's what I did. I sort of packed up shop. And I think this is when I was telling you about the story of before I went to Australia, I did a job landscaping, and I used to think I was a shit up landscaper, you know, pardon my language. I used to think I was really good. But at this point, you know, this is over 10 years ago. So this is when, you know, you used to get construction books and it'll show you to 5-spot. So I swore by 5-spot at this point. You know, I was an advocate for it. And anyhow, I went over to Australia, and I remember blagging my way into a job, and it were a really high-end landscape garden installation job, you know, company. And at this point, I was just sort of doing nice. Don't get me wrong, I did nice jobs, but I threw up a lot of fences, I threw down a lot of paving, you know, your typical sort of 3x2 flags and whatnot. Yeah. And I remember going on site for the first day, and they said, right, this is the job you're going to be running. This is your new team, and it were installing a swimming pool, an outdoor kitchen. Everything was porcelain. I didn't even know what porcelain was at that point. All the edging, it wasn't timber edging, you know, that you just knock down. It were all steel edging, and I thought, oh my God, what have I done? So I really had to step up my landscaping skills. And I remember just every day I was YouTubing on the way to work, how to do this, how to do that. You know, trying to follow other people, seeing what they did, and then I'd have to sort of go show the guys how to do something. So I'd be showing them how to install composite deck. Never installed it before. Watched about 4 YouTube videos, and then explaining them how to install it like I've been doing it for years. But
can I ask John on that? Was there anyone in particular on YouTube that you followed? Was there anyone in particular that you kind of looked to?
I'm really bad with names, to be honest with you. There was one guy who had a company, and I can't remember his name. He were quite a short bloke, but he had some really good videos, and he was one of the, I'll have to find his name. He was one of the first guys who I ever saw installing porcelain. And at that point, I didn't really know what it was, but he was really good. And yeah, there were a few people like that who I followed, and I just, you know, I've always been someone who never, you know, always learn, and I don't ever think I know everything.
Yeah. You know, I understand, because with me and Els, both of us, I think, what, 4 years ago, we both followed George Matapo. So George did like all the how-to videos, and me and Els used to watch every single video. I think going back 3-4 years, there's like a couple of different people, which are, I guess, killing or were new to the YouTube scene, that people would kind of up and coming would refer to, and kind of watch their kind of their how-tos.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I still watch YouTube videos and learn cool stuff. Like, you know, when I did that polished concrete, I was all over the gaff learning about, you know, those companies, a bit like based in Australia, they do a lot of polished concrete surfaces and stuff like that. And because it was my first one, you know, YouTube, what a brilliant platform. Because, you know, like you're saying, John, that you can just, and I think if you've got your brain and you're kind of practical anyway, some people will need to be explained hands-on and shown multiple times. But I think some people can watch a couple of videos and kind of get the gist of the, you know, what's at hand.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. Honestly, without YouTube, I probably wouldn't have my business.
Yeah.
So no, it's cool. I really enjoyed that story when you told me, because at ProLandscape, it just, you know, it's a bit like when we started this podcast, we kind of said some funny stories of where we started as a company, like the human, you know, when you're like, oh, blagging your way through things, and you get your first. I remember getting my first patio job, and I never worked for another landscaper. I worked for a builder, and he did the 5, you know, the dot and dab, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, I got this. You know, I got this. I can do it.
Yeah.
And after, I soon realized the flaw with putting that just dollars, it's like the easy joint just goes away, and then instead of using 10 tubs, you're like 20 tubs. So then you quickly learn to put a bit more, you know, mark around the edges.
Yeah.
Funny as hell. But so that's just, obviously we got sidetracked, but obviously that's you in Australia.
Yeah.
And what happened after you travelled there?
So yeah, travelled there, learned loads. Came, and then I came back, and at that point, you know, in Australia, landscaping, like all trades, is really a really good thing to be seen. You know, if you're a tradesman, you've done really well, you're successful. Whereas sometimes over here, it's nowhere near as bad as what it used to be, but there's still a bit of a stigma as if you go into trade, especially landscaping or horticulture, or whatever, it's seen as like, you know, you've not done so well, it's just a job, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Over there, it was a well sought after thing. And when I were over there, I was getting, you know, not talk about money, but I got paid so much money compared to what you would over here. I managed to pay off a lot of debt that I got because I was just rubbish with money. And then when I came back, before I went there, I was working cash in hand when I was at uni, cash in hand for like £7 an hour. And I just thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've just been living for the last 3 years in an apartment on the beach in Sydney on all this money, and now I'm going to come back to Halifax on £7 an hour cash. Like, what am I doing with my life? So anyway, I came back and I was looking at jobs, and I saw a job as a project manager for a garden design build company in Harrogate. And I were in and I think it was about 30 grand or something. I couldn't believe it. I thought that must be a typo. Do you know what, you can get 30 grand at landscaping? So one thing I've always done, I don't like to use the word blag, but I've always been confident in myself in terms of like, I've always backed myself. I think, yeah, I'll just say yeah, and I'll work it out after, because I've always seen landscaping to me is just common sense.
Yeah.
If you know everything, it's the same. It's like setting out. It doesn't matter what you're setting out. It's the same principle, and it's the same with building. It doesn't matter what you're building. It's the same principle. And I think if you can get, you know, if you've got common sense, and the thing about common sense, they say it's not very common, but if you have got a bit of common sense about you, you can landscape. And if you've got the patience, and you know to research it, you know, the humble side to learn from others, you can get on. And I've always been like that. Yeah. So anyway, I again blagged my way into this job a little bit, but got it, and I was working there for 3 years, and again I learned a hell of a lot. You know, I were a bit of a sponge, just took in information, and at this point, this was the first time where I've been involved in working for a landscaping business, but in the business side of things, not just on the tools. Yeah. So it were a massive learning curve for me, and the company at the time didn't have a design service. Anytime any design work came in, they just passed it on. So I asked, look, if design comes in, I'll do it on a night for free. You know, I just want that experience, and I want us to do it in house. So I got all the software on, you know, what's on Student One and whatnot, and just sort of did it all in house, and it slowly built to you know, that we were doing quite well in design. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just learned a hell of a lot from that. I learned a hell of a lot of what not to do. You know, I'm not going to say everything were a great success. It was certainly like a roller coaster up and down.
Yeah. But I think this what I said to Els earlier, is that I think the similarities between me and you, which we've spoken about personally, is that a lot of people go into business having worked from someone else on the tools, and they set it on their own. Where I guess some of our strengths come from working as a project manager.
Yeah.
So we've gone from the working on the tools to working back house to managing big high-end projects. And I think there's an element of people going out in business on their own. They haven't got the back house experience, and I think that's where me and you, John, have those sort of strengths. Is that we've had the step back, working on the business. It's not our own business, but we've had the chance to project manage back house stuff, and I think that in itself, and what I advise other people is having that is such a huge strength.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one thing I remember when I was doing my first design review, and the job was about 20 grand. And at the time, for me, 20 grand was a hell of a lot of money. I remember going into this meeting thinking, I'm robbing this person. And it were all quoted absolutely fine. But for me, like, people paying 20 grand for landscaping, I couldn't believe it. I remember sitting there, handing the paper, the plans over, shaking and sweating. And straight away they were, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's about what we thought it was. And because at the time it wasn't, I was so nervous, but then it gave me that confidence of, it's not my money, it's their money. And because it wasn't my business as well, I still I've always worked in it, like treat it like it is my own business, but because I wasn't as precious, to me. If we got the job, we got it. If we didn't, we didn't. Yeah. And because, when it is your business and you're desperate for that work, you do undercut yourself sometimes. And it's so difficult to stand back and, no, that's my price. But because it wasn't my business, I wasn't treating it like that. It gave me the experience and sort of to be confident in the prices, and this is the price, and it is a good price. And I think from being in that position, doing the for a business, it really has given me good experience for then setting up where I am now.
Yeah. So after that job is when you set out then on your own. So
basically, I worked for that company for 3 years.
Yeah.
And it was the time where I split up with my partner, and we sort of sold the house. And it were at the time, I don't know if it was where you are, we had quite a bit of a peak in house properties suddenly going up.
Yeah.
So I sold the house, and I got a bit of money that came through from the house, and I just thought at the time, it just felt like it was the right time to set up. I felt like I've learned a hell of a lot of what not to do and what to do, and so that's when I decided, to set up the business.
That's cool.
For about 6 months ago.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, and for people that are watching, go and check your page on Instagram. Some of the projects you've done are really interesting. My favourite has to be the paving with that look like a honeycomb,
Right, yeah.
I love that project. I really like it. It's different, and I like the fact that you design it as well. So, hats off to you. 6 months in, obviously, you go 6 months in your business with a ton of experience from lots of different kind of areas, and I think that really, really shows that it's going to help you kind of grow quick, fast, and efficiently.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask is that what is it inside you, John, that's kind of like pushing for the? I know I do a lot of that charities. For you, the charity, the giving, you seem to be very at the forefront of that. So just talk us through that. What's kind of, because you're very early days, but you're very pushing for the perennial stuff, which is lovely. What's the drive in you for that?
Yeah, well, I've never been money orientated. I've never had money. I've sort of growing up never really had much money, and I'm not a materialistic person. And to me, I want to, and this is the reason for setting up a business. I've, try and set up a business where I can enjoy a lifestyle, but fundamentally, I love landscaping, and it's just I and I'm just trying to create that balance between, you know, building a project to make money, not for my own enjoyment, but also building a company where I can get satisfaction from it. I mean, I remember that garden you were talking about with the honeycomb. That was for a children's hospice, and we built that. And I remember we got an email back about a month later, and it was for people who would, you know, got disabilities or problems. And there was one girl in particular who I can't remember the term, but she couldn't eat. She was anorexic. And they sent us an email saying it's the first time she actually goes in the garden every day, and she'll eat a pack lunch. And
wow.
she never used to, and she loved just being sat in that garden, and it was just a place for her to. And the sort of feeling I got from doing that, you know, from building that, and I think that's just one of the reasons for it. You know, gardens are powerful things. Just with mental health, well-being, and like if I can build and if I can do what I love, but also give back at the same time, you know, then yeah, that's the drive for the business. That's the forefront. And
that's beautiful, man. No, it's so nice to hear, because I mean, going on that, the love of garden, I employed some people that, you know, were a bit depressed, or you know, young lads that don't really have a route, where they don't know where they're going. And honestly, you know, in a few months working, and I'm not saying it's working with me, I'd love to think it is, but working in landscaping and being even the garden maintenance and touching the soil and seeing the plants grow, I think that as an horticulture just brings so much joy to people, I think, and the younger generation need it, because like you said, I mean, it's lovely. I mean, that's really touching what you did and stuff. But just for obviously a lot of the staff that we employ young, and they all smoke too much weed. They all got social anxiety because of social media, all those platforms that they feel that they need to be rich, or they need to be successful, or they need this. And yeah, we've got this young boy with us at the moment. He's going to be with us for 3 weeks, and he's studying at Capel Manor. He's doing level 2, finishing level 2 horticulture and landscape, and he's going to do level 3. And you know, the amount of joy every day. Today he didn't want to leave.
Yeah,
he had to leave because his mum was picking him up, but he was like, I want to stay. I put him on your vans. He was loving it. You know, you can see the next generation just grabbing a hold of that industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's nice that you touched on that, because I think I'm in the same boat as you, John, a little bit. I'm learning a bit from Adam and from this podcast and from Mark Lane and people that we had here. Like, it's not a hobby, and you need to kind of like, well, at least I need to drill that in my head. Like, it's not a hobby, it's a business, but you have to enjoy running your business.
And I think on that point, I think John will agree, is that for me anyway, before the YPHA, there was a huge, I guess in a lot of people's minds, there's a huge shortage of younger people coming in the landscape industry or the horticulture industry. But until meeting Molly, Abigail, Natalie, and John, there's so many young people coming through. I think what they're doing with the YPHA is incredible. But before then, I think there's a huge misconception that I think there might be a shortage, but if you come into the YPHA, there are so many new people coming through.
That's cool. You know, I can only relate to France, and in France we call it paysagiste, so that's like landscaper. And in France is such a big trade. You know, people, you go to normal school, whatever, sixth form, and then you choose, are you going to go and do more studies and end up in university? Or then do you choose the practical route? And the French system for that is amazing, because you can become stonemason. The amount of courses that they do for the younger generation, like John, like me, like you, Adam, that are not academic, it's just amazing. I went to boarding school, and I in the 2 years before I specialised in winemaking, I had to pick 6 jobs, so 3 jobs per year, and we spent 2 weeks at school boarding, 3 weeks at work. And I did that from the age of like 13 or 14. So you work hard young, you understand, and it gives you get 2 years to pick like 6 jobs. So you can really try a bit of everything. Yeah, I did carpentry, I did welding, I did mechanic, I did building. Even as a young boy, I remember like fainting because they're working so hard. Like the old school French people in the countryside, they're old school. And like, it's what's carved me, right? Because I was a young boy following I mean, I've got big hands. You should have seen their hands. I mean, they look like bears, bruv. And, you know, it's just, you know, you follow them, you're a young boy. And now I'm in that position where I've got the next generation learning from what we do. And I love that. It's just, oh, mate, it tickles my pickle. In all the good ways, not in the pervy, you know, young boys coming in. But it does just bring me joy, pure joy, because like you were saying, obviously I'm not kind of like networky like YouTube. I had to ask Adam, what is YOP, was it?
YPHA.
YPHA, because I'm useless. I don't remember names. I don't remember, but
Let's give it to John. Let's give it to John.
What's that?
I said, let's give it to John.
What about the YPHA?
Yeah.
So, yeah, with the I mean, to be honest, I didn't know what the YPHA was. I mean, I've been, you know, doing this for like 14 years now, and I joined Perennial, and I found them when I went to Futurescape last year.
Yeah.
So I saw the stand, had a chat with them, and joined that. And then I was down in London at the Perennial Pie and Pea night that they did, and I met a girl there called Lily, and she was on the committee for the YPHA. I mean, she is if you ever seen anyone who is just an amazing networker, she is the networking queen, that woman. And straight away, she was telling me all about the YPHA and who they were and what they did, and it seemed too good to be true. I mean, and to try and find a group of people who have the same interest. I mean, and this is how I describe it. You know, when you go to the pub with your mates, you know, you talk about football or rugby or sport, you know, or just genuine. You don't talk about landscaping and gardens and what's your favourite flower. You know, you don't do any of that. So to suddenly be able to join a group where people are having sort of conversations about it, where you can help each other, and yeah, I just thought, yeah, this is amazing. So I joined the group, met some really great people in there, and that's when the opportunity came along to get on the committee to sort of help really push that as well. Do you know, the awareness of the group, what they do, be part of it. And that's one thing that the reason I wanted to be on it is because, again, leading back to the business, one thing I did when I started the business, which I thought was fundamental, was really sit down and take the time to work out what the business is going to look like and where I want it to be. And part of that was factoring in things like the YPHA, you know, because like what you mentioned about the apprentices, you know, having them, I absolutely love that. You know, there's nothing better than having a young lad or lass and just passing on your knowledge to them and seeing them get excited. And, you know, looking back and, you know, I was the same. I were a little scrawny whippersnapper, you know, who were just got excited, running around site. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And to suddenly get young people doing that as well. And that's one of the reasons for joining the YPHA. I sort of wanted the new people coming through, be able to help, offer advice, do what I can to sort of really push how great of an industry it is.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I joined, they had an event where down in Kent, where they had Adam Frost from Gardener's World there.
Yeah.
You know? And it was such a great organised, it was such a professional organised event. And to say it was that everyone on the committee, you know, they're all volunteers. You know, they've all got full-time jobs, and it was just so well structured and organised, and it was such a great day to suddenly. And I'm not one for networking, you know, I struggle with it. I struggle, you know, talking to people. But the horticulture industry is such a friendly, inviting industry. It makes it like when I met you two at the awards, you know, it's so easy just to be, you know, approach people and just be able to just talk and get on, you know, compared to a business.
Because we're also passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. I think so. I mean, the ProLandscaper was the first ever event I've ever went to do with, apart from Futurescape. And you couldn't hit that on the head more. It's like, you would go and get a drink, let's say, and you would chat with someone that owned the business with 200 plus people on the books, just interested in your business. You know, that it is a really nice environment. I must admit, I really enjoyed it. And, you know, and we met you as well and had a nice chat. So, you know, it just goes to show, you know, you're right by saying it's a nice environment, homely and stuff. And so, touching on what you were saying, where are you going to bring your business then? What's the next few steps for you?
So for me, I've got, you know, I've got my solid business plan, and I see, and to me, for my business, it changes for everyone, but for me, I feel running 2 jobs is optimum. You know, I've run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs at once, and I feel like two is comfortable enough to be able to take care of your clients, take care of your up and coming clients, take care of leads, make sure the guys are happy.
Yeah.
To me, 2 jobs is great.
Yes.
And then I've got the structure in the business. I mean, I'm so fortunate and lucky to have amazing people. I mean, I've got Sarah, who works in the office. She's incredible. She can just read my mind. I mean, I'll ring her up and say, oh, do you know that person? Or do you know that thing? Well, can you do that thing for that person? And she knows exactly who I'm on about and what thing I'm about.
So have you got a second? So are you currently running one project, and have you got a second project manager?
So I'm currently running 2 projects, and I'm building one, and I've got James. And James, I've worked with James. He came from the previous company with me. I've worked with James for 3 years, and he's a really great guy. Great feedback I get off the clients from him, and he's running the second job. He's not at a point where he'd be comfortable to run a job from, you know, all himself. So I go over and I'll sort of help him with setup, maybe lines, heights, bits and that, but he can build anything.
Yeah.
So more than comfortable building the whole job, but it's just setting those initial bits and bobs.
Because I think that we're in a similar stage that I've got Steve running one project, I'm running the second, but then in June there's someone else starting, Patrick, so he would take my place, and then I'll take a step back and I'll be overseeing both. And it's just nice with the communities discussing different business models, discussing different ideas. But I'm which is stress, as you know, very stressful, transitioning from one project into 2.
Yeah.
And then so the idea is that I take the step back and overseeing the 2.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of tweaking, a lot of fine tuning. But it's getting from the step from the one project to running 2 projects.
Yeah, I think with the step in it, making sure that your second project isn't anything too strenuous. It's nothing too big. It's, you know, and that's what I'm doing is I'm making sure that we've got one job, which is a nice big job, but then it's almost like the little ones, the next project, the breadwinners. You know, they're the steady ones where you get in and out. You're not.
Yeah,
It's not.
the margins are good.
The margins are good.
Which is what I sent to Els. I think Els needs those sort of projects.
I know. You know what I did? We had Theo yesterday from New Earth Garden. I was explaining Theo's going to come and help us as well. So he's another landscaper, really talented guy, in love with the industry as much as we all are. And he owns New Earth Gardens or New Earth Landscapes. And he's a plantsman as well. But I was telling him that I've been bashing big jobs after big job after big jobs. And I got rid of my Team 2 landscaping for various reasons. And we got rid of one maintenance team as well, just because it was just too much aggro, to be honest, over the winter. So we scaled it back down, but we've got all those massive projects. And like you say, I love anything best than those big projects. You just put your teeth in them and you just, you go full diving mode. But you're totally right by saying, I think if you're a business and you want to scale up, you need those small jobs. And you can still do really high quality small jobs. Like Adam said multiple times, do small grades. And then it's no reflection on it doesn't make you any good or bad, but it's just good money making. It's cash flow, because in 2 weeks they can be done. Yeah. So that cash flow, you can do 2 jobs a month, or one and a bit job a month, and it's all paid for and it's all like rotating really quickly. I think
one, not to cut you off, I think one good thing, I mean, in stuff like Instagram and everything, it's been amazing to help people set up, helping people ideas. One negative I think I've seen from it is you then feel like every job you've got to trump your next one.
Yeah.
Like
I agree. I agree.
And every time you do a job, it's right, how can I make my next one better? What can I do? What detail can I add to that? And I think that's where a lot of people suddenly get trapped in this place that every job has to be an award-winning garden.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
But I think you're totally right by saying if you've got multiple teams, you can still, because if the demand's there in those gardens, so most of my inquiries are high-end projects. I would say nothing below 100 grand.
Yeah.
Right. So they're quite, they're substantial. They're not like, humongous, like some companies are doing like half a million projects, but they're decent size. And I think that, and we've touched on that on the podcast, when you showcase what you do, you tend to get what you're showing.
Yeah.
So in some respects, once you get kind of stuck in that, I do big jobs, people see it as that's what you guys do, or if you do only small jobs, you kind of get those inquiries. So I think showcasing both, that you're showcasing the big jobs, the high-end projects, but you're showcasing high-end but smaller scale.
Yeah.
It's having that balance just right, and I think it's really tricky sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, and what I have is I'll send it. Yeah, I have a brochure where I sort of showcase three sort of style jobs that I've done, which range in value from I think 15 to 25, 15 to 30, then it steps up to 45 to 65, 65 plus. Now, personally, from a project management position, again, depending where you're in the country, pricing fluctuates, but for me, a good sized job is a 4-week project, and for us, a 4-week project is normally about 50k. That tends to be about 4 weeks for us, and that's to me a perfect sized job, because it's not too big of a project management job where you have to be involved every single day. It's big. It's a nice size for the guys on site to manage their actual day without needing me all the time.
Yeah.
And there's enough money in that, because the thing is, with I mean, I've ran jobs over 100k a few times, and I've quoted them, and they are difficult
It's so hard
to quote. You know, and not just that. The minute you start to quote them, and I've been guilty for this, you start adding up the price, and you think, "Oh my God, is that the price?" And all of a sudden, you start looking where you can chip away, where you can reduce, and the minute you do that, you're losing your buffer. With those things, you always find problems. Is they never run like clockwork. And don't get me wrong, they're absolutely amazing to do, but they're difficult. And one thing that I'm wanting to do is, for me as a company moving forward, if I get big jobs like that, it's going to be contracting a lot of it out.
Yeah.
Personally, you know, we can, as landscapers, we can do everything, but we're not the best at everything. And if there's a really big red brick wall or a stone wall to go in or block wall to get in, and there's a lot of it, I'll contract it to builders because they get that a lot quicker than I can.
Yeah,
and then that frees my guys up to be doing the work while that's still ongoing, and then all of a sudden you've got more than one project. And like you said, Adam, you know, if you can take a step back and this guy fills your role, you're going to have that time to really do that. And I think if you get a decent set of contractors in your black book, you know, who you know you can rely on, you know, it's like fencing. There's some and the thing is, depending what you want to do, you don't have to have the best garden landscaping business. You know, there's companies out there who just love fencing, and if that's what they love and they enjoy doing it, that's great. But there's companies out there where I know they could do a better quality fence at a lot quicker rate than I can. Well, if I know that I've got an 80-meter long fence to do, and they can quote it for $4,000 cheaper than I could build it, well, I'll get them in to do it. And no reflection of the company, it's no reflection of us not being able to do it, as long as you can project manage that. And to me, that's where the big job should be at. You know, like digger work, I can drive a digger and I do all our dig out, but I wouldn't say I'm an excavator. So if I know that I've got a big excavation job, I'll get a company in with their machine. Do you know what I mean? And I think I think if you can
I think that's smart.
If you can get into that,
I think I've learned that, you know, not too long ago to know we do everything in house. So I've been so stubborn about that, you know, brick walls, carpentry, you know, like you said, and we got the bricky in on, you know, the job, Adam, you came to help me on the big one for Sam, because it was really detailed. Huh?
I know.
Yeah, you know that one. I've been going on about it for months.
Half a day, and then goes to the pub.
Yeah,
and then we were there the whole day.
Yeah, I know. We were meant to be there just half a day to lay 300 square meters, but because Adam and Steve were slightly slower, we had to be there a bit longer. Anyhow, long story short, the high detail, and I priced up to build this wall, and then I thought to myself, you know, it's another 4 days for me to build that wall. I'll be on my own doing it with my other guy. So I asked the customer, can you give me the number of the guy that built the house?
Yeah. And
like that, we can match in the exact style of brick line that he's done and blah, blah, blah. And meeting this bricky, really nice guy. And now I've got his number. And I said to Jess, I'm never laying a brick.
Yeah.
Because when I saw him lay bricks, I did level something in bricklaying. It was like a week and a half course, you know, like golden trout. And when I saw him do it, it's just
that's part of the email. Part of the email that you're the entrepreneur, that you need to outsource people that are more specialist in the skills that you're not.
But I think sometimes as a business owner, and I don't know how you both feel about that, but you kind of, you want to touch everything. I mean, and that's how I am. So I built a house for my wife's grandparents, and I wanted to make sure that I was looking, you know, I was working with the plumbers and making, you know, I wanted to be involved in every aspect of the build. I don't, maybe I've got this obsession with it. I don't know, but I am definitely learning to, like you say, John, to you know, it's not that I can't do it, but I'm too busy to do it in some ways.
Yeah.
Because you're running a business and you're running multiple jobs, you can't be bent over for 2 days in a row laying bricks when you can get a brickie to do it in a day.
Yeah.
So, no, I think that's a very, very good point for a lot of young landscapers that want to do everything to learn to kind of let go a little bit.
No. Can we touch upon the, because I know I'm short of time, the field build. John, how did you get involved with BBC Gardens World?
All right, yeah. So with that again, that was Lily, who I talked about with the PMP. She knew that I had an interest in doing show gardens and sort of.
I'm still unsure how to pronounce the name.
So I don't know if it's Lilith or Lily. I always call her Lily. I call her Lily, but I don't know if she's too polite to correct me. So I'm going to say Lily, then she might, if she's watching, she might comment and say, no, that's not how it's pronounced. But she puts in a pronounce a Lily like the flower. So I'm pretty sure it's Lily. So.
Okay, Abby says Lily like the flower.
That she comments.
Yeah.
Lily like the flower, yeah. So.
Yeah.
I was talking, I can't remember. Now, I expressed interest with doing show gardens. That's something I want to do anyway. And I think I approached Lily about doing a show garden. She might again correct me. But then it came about, there was an opportunity to do a little border. And so we're doing a little border, but it was mainly planting. Now, don't get me wrong, I love planting, but I'd love any opportunity to showcase doing some landscaping, you know, showcase a bit of skill. Yeah. And then we managed to do this big border, again at BBC, and we were designing it, and I just over-engineered the design with Lily because I just thought, this first garden, really exciting. Let's do it. Now, then we managed to do it showcase garden. Lily, again, being the networking guru she is, managed to go in her little black book and make some calls and get us to do this show, you know, get it to do a showcase garden, even though it was last minute. Now, it being, we sort of wanted to do it where she's got a really good business finding roots. I hope that's right. And it's creating, you know, seasonal pots and stuff for apartments starting in London. And she's going to be, you know, creating these amazing planting pots with your different choices for the different seasons, you know, really for people who don't have gardens to really, you know, brighten the houses up.
Nice.
And she wanted to sort of help showcase what she's doing, you know, alongside that. And so we were going to do it together. And at that point, it was something where, being my first, you know, the company's first showcase garden, I wanted it to be something sort of meaningful to me as well, which, you know, mental health and perennial, the charity, is something that I'm really passionate about. So that's when the idea about designing the garden around, you know, mental health and her business being seasonal, and that's where the concept for the design came. So I think me and Lily designed it in about 3 days. It was quite a really quick turnaround. And then, yeah, so then we were working with Perennial. We got the garden ticked off. Now, with such short time on it, you know, and in a few, you know, it's about 4 or 5 weeks, 5 weeks now. That's when basically I thought, oh my God, it's a technical bit. There's a lot involved. Very short notice. Again, I like to think I'm quite humble in the sense that if I can get people in who are just as good, if not better than me, I will do. And that's then when I thought it would be perfect to get you involved, Adam, because, you know, I've seen you doing a lot for Perennial. and the same with you as well. You know, just seeing. I mean, I was following a lot of your stuff before. And by the way, I forgot to mention to you that I used to live in France for a few years. So I'll have to tell you what that was conversation for another day.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought just getting you both involved with the build, and it's just a fun thing. You know, it's quite, because it's quite an intensive job, and we're always busy and work and stuff. And I just thought, if we can do something fun for charity and just have, get to have a laugh, build something really, and then
I mean, I was really happy that you asked me to come and help. Like, I was at home with Jess, and I was like, yeah, no, definitely. You know it, we're all busy, but sometimes you have to just take the time. And for myself, that I don't, you come home, you're with the kids, and you do a lot with the family, but that would be something I do for me, because I love the industry, and I'm really buzzing to come and help you for all the right reasons. So looking forward to it, to be honest, because it's coming up soon, mate.
Yeah, well, that's what we're saying in that message. We'll have to set something up to work out the installation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But look,
because what we need to figure out is what day, and how many days would you need, Adam and me to come over, or just let us know. I can book it in as well.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with the WhatsApp group. Adam will know about that. I'm much better. I'm so dyslexic. I'm like, I can't be arsed.
I'm so ADHD. I'm so just on it.
I'm just not. But no.
This is why it works. This is why me and you work so well.
I know. I mean, everyone's got this strength, and reading and writing is definitely not mine. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but Jess has just messaged saying I need to message Jess.
Exactly. But that's it.
Jess, yeah, you met Jess. Yeah.
I mean, Jess, my wife, literally organised my best friend's stag do on my behalf. I mean, because obviously I was the mind and the ideas, but my wife had to do it all. I mean, she runs a business for me. Yeah. We touched on that at the ProLandscaper. Is your missus going to join, or is she still going to stay accountant for the other firm? What's the deal? I want to know.
No, she will be eventually joining. I mean, I'm so lucky at the fact that because I'm very, I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and being organised isn't one of those strengths. And, I'm always thinking about the next thing. What can we do with a business? And I suddenly forget about the accounts and the paperwork side. And I'm really lucky that she does all that. So yeah, she will be joining the business. She'll probably be listening to me now, shaking her head, but she will hopefully at some point. Yeah, which she'll just take again. It just makes you step up to that next level, because all of a sudden I'm freed up again to drive the business forward and sort of start really. And I think it's difficult with building the business, because if you're not doing something tangible where you're actually building, you don't feel like earning.
Yeah.
But in order to grow that business, sometimes you've got to step away from it. And by Annie joining, that's going to again just be that, move that next level with the business. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all going through that journey, aren't we? Adam's kind of trying to step away and manage more sites, and I'm trying to find people for me to network a bit more and step away from being such I'm like the employee of the month every month. You know what I mean? I want to be given the employee of the month to one of my lads. I got great lads, but I need to stop being the head grafter. So I think it's all interesting, isn't it?
Before we say goodbye to John, can you tell us where we can find you is it June, July for the Perennial Gardens? What are the dates?
Yes.
So we can find you at Gardens World. Find us.
Yeah, so it's at Gardens World, and the dates are the 15th to the 18th of June. So down in Birmingham.
NEC?
Yeah.
NEC.
So Yeah, and Perennial's going to be there. They're going to have a big, tent, gazebo tent and stuff. So that'll be really good because they are an amazing charity. If you don't follow them or you don't know who they are. So yeah, no, it's going to be an exciting build to it, and yeah, looking forward to the show. So.
No, it should be good. It should be good. I mean, it'd be nice to work the three of us together.
Yeah.
On your project. So really looking forward to it. And John, thank you for coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
Really appreciated your time, and looking forward to looking into your social media and seeing you and your business kind of grow and do fantastic work. So thank you for coming on, mate.
No,
really appreciate it.
Cheers, son.
Yeah, see you later on.
Yeah. Sorry. How are you? I had to get a drink. That was amazing, wasn't it?
The transition wasn't that smooth.
No.
We haven't nailed it.
Huh?
I thought you left.
No, I didn't leave. I had to get a drink, and I thought I'd leave to.
Okay, so the next one we need to say, okay, goodbye, guest.
Yeah.
You went. I was sat there thinking, oh, it's just me on my own. Because I went, bye, John. And then you went, we'd already pre-arranged. Okay, right, we're going to do that.
You know what?
But then,
I was really
John. And then you be back.
We can edit that. I'm sure we can use your editing skill out.
We're back for the outro.
So, well done. It was a great podcast again. Really enjoyed it. John is, I think he's going to go far.
Yeah.
I got that feeling about him. He's got something in him. Like he's just passionate. He's got a really good attitude around.
What's nice is that his energy, but like early days, he's wanted to give back so soon.
Yeah.
In terms of Perennial, the YPHA, he's like very early doors wanting to. He's not just like self-absorbed. He's focusing on the giving back early on.
It's really humbling to see such a young business have such a great outlook, and it's nice. And again, really looking forward to going and helping him on that Gardener's World project for Perennial. Sorry, my dog's running around. And yeah, I think to recap, I would say and maybe we should do this. I'm going to say a few points that really touched me a bit and that stuck with me. Is first of all, it's his journey of learning. He's travelled, he's experienced a lot of things here and there and everywhere, and then put it into his business. So he's not gone blinded. He's gone with a lot of knowledge in business, like you were saying, because he worked behind not just on the tools. And I liked as well his outlook on, I've got a bad back anyway, I'm going to study a little bit more, even if he's dyslexic himself and he's not super, academic and paperwork, but he still went through architectural design or horticultural design or whatever he said. And I like that. So he had a clear vision, he took it, and now he makes beautiful designs and he creates beautiful gardens. So no, I really impressed with him. Really impressed with him.
And hopefully next week we've got Mark Gadsden.
I know. You know what? I've been messaging him loads. I love his stories. That guy, I think he's going to be another great landscaper for next week because he's got.
I think Mark's running like 20 projects at once.
I know. He's just on it, and he's got a big gang of guys behind him, and I quite like. I always look forward to seeing his stories come up, and he's got a
Yeah.
good energy as well. So no, I think he's around, slightly younger than me at least, around our age.
Yeah. So how old are you?
How old do I look?
45.
Yeah. My wife's looking at me. Yeah, I feel 45. I'm 31.
I'm 30. I think Mark's 28.
Yeah, no, he's doing well. He's smashing it out of the park. So
So
yeah.
you'll see me tomorrow at Corker.
Oh yes, I need to see if I can get to Corker, but I don't think I'd be able to.
It's like a 5-minute drive.
A 5-minute drive from me? No, 5-minute drive. I wish I could come though.
You guessed it.
So, whilst we're on here, what are you going to talk about?
Huh?
What are you going to talk about at Corker?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Marketing. How to, I guess how to be the best version of yourself. How to promote the business. How to market the business.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I should come then. No, that'd be good, man. That'd be good. Well, I think we can put a wrap on that. You know, I love a good old clapperino. Thank you for everyone watching, and we'll see you next week for the next adventures. All right, bye bye, everyone.
We get better over time.
I think so. We'll get smoother and smoother. To be honest, I enjoy them more and here we go. Yeah, I just needed a little refreshment. I got a Fanta. All right, Adam, you take care, mate.